Well, a very, very good evening to all of those of you who are joining us regularly on this platform. Greetings from Stockholm, but this is not the only place in the world where you will be hearing us from this evening. But what you see on your screen there is the name of the organization, Learning Academy Worldwide. It's a South African non-profit that works for the improvement of opportunities for young people in rural settings in South Africa. The main focus is to elevate their knowledge, what they know about agriculture, sharpen their skills, so that they can do one of three things. Number one, maybe become more employable in the agriculture space. Secondly, maybe explore their own kind of business, entrepreneurship. But thirdly, who study further. We've started this project about 6-7 years ago. And what we do from Stockholm is to promote this, encourage it, bring it in front of people's eyes and ears. And we've been very, very encouraged by the support that we've received over the years. So thank you for joining us. My name is Theophilus van Rensburg-Linster, and I'm this evening joined by my very, very good friend, Sven. Sven, we are back.
Yeah, it's Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday.
No, it's showtime.
You've just flown in. You've just arrived. You came straight from
Spain.
From Spain.
Yeah.
Sven travels quite a lot. I had you on mute there, so that people just heard you through my microphone. Where in Spain were you?
Yeah, it's in the south. Yeah,
in the south. Okay.
Yeah.
Spain is a famous is a favorite place for you.
Yeah, Spain is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a good country.
Yeah.
And it's easy in reality. Overall in Europe, with flights and communications, it's easy and a good offer to fly. You know.
Now, for a lot of us in the world, it's not so easy to travel. But I have to say, our guest this evening has enabled us to sort of bring many different parts of the world into one conversation. I want to say a specific thank you this evening to a young man from the Free State. He lives in what is called the City of Roses. It's a place called Bloemfontein. It's in the heart of the Free State. The Free State province is one of 9 provinces in South Africa.
Yeah.
And his name is Thapelo Pitso. I met him when the earth was still flat.
Yeah.
It was many, many years ago. And he has managed to bring some wonderful people, and you can see them on your screen there. And for those of you who have just joined us, thank you so very, very much for just taking the time to be with us. You all are live with us here on this broadcast this evening on the penultimate day of August 2025. And so I'm going to just ask immediately, Thapelo, thank you very, very much for bringing all these wonderful people into our orbit. How did you manage? How do you get to bring beautiful people into? How do you manage to harass beautiful people? What's your secret?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That given talent, collaboration is just in me, and most of the time, it's not successful all the time, but ultimately I do happen to have people that we connect, that we've got same kind of vision, same kind of thinking and commitment in changing this world somehow. Yeah.
You've done a good job. You've done a great job. So in the north, just north from Bloemfontein, a little bit sort of northeast, that would be, is a place called Pretoria. And that is where Tebogo is sitting. Tebogo, very welcome.
Thank you so much, Theo. Thank you, Sven, for the opportunity to engage here. Now called Tshwane, as you might be aware.
Yes.
Yeah, so born and raised in Tshwane. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your sharing of your time here with us this evening. We're very interested to hear later about the incredible work that you've done in education, particularly in the digital space and in the online world. We'll go over to Abu Dhabi, where we have Mohsen, and I've just met Mohsen. So Mohsen is not only new to those of you who are joining us online, but he's also new to Sven and myself. And so we're very, very honored to meet him this evening. Mohsen, very welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm very fortunate to have received the invitation from Thapelo, and I hope I can make an impact and to contribute to your cause, which I think education is quite important for all of us that's here. You know, it's our future of our kids, and I think that's the most important thing.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And so we'd be interested to hear a little bit from especially two things that we chatted about little bit, your understanding of some correlation between what happens in Sweden and South Africa. So Mohsen has got some interesting insights in relation to health provision or health services. And then Sven, one of the things that we've always sort of insisted on as you and I have talked is that what we try to do in these dialogues is to create a platform for people's voices to be heard. But just share with us, why do you think that is so important to give more folks a place to, another word that we like to use, bounce off ideas? Why is that so crucial?
Yeah, I think in general it's good to, what do you call it, debrief, sort of, you know, and you can debrief in different ways, and we are focused in this forum is an open but focused forum where people can debrief and share knowledge, but it's very open and inspirational in all different levels. It's not based on where you are or what industry or more as a bouncing platform for effective life, whereas we have each important missions, so to say, in our daily lives, you know, and how to get that inspiration or new ideas and next step help, you know, in a kind of a interesting discussion, you know, and it's not really in a joyful manner too, you know. So I think that's important because it's easy to sometimes address things of high importance and they become stressed. No, why not take a few steps back and have some fun, bring different perspectives or backgrounds and the nations, like, wow, we kind of have the same issues or opportunities or strength and weaknesses.
We're not sorting
all
each
over.
other out.
No, we're not. No.
Yeah.
And it's not competitive, but at the same time, we can advise and bounce ideas in a very skillful, highly effective manner, where it's objective goals and you know, accountabilities and this and that, but in a good setting. I think that's the key for a good thing, and especially as we got to be friends, it's this importance of education and training.
Absolutely.
Ongoing. And as we learned about that, there's a lot of challenges and stops. And instead of being frustrated, you got to bring that out somehow. And it's applicable in all sectors, in all areas of life and business, because, you know, that's it, you know.
Tebogo, on that point that Sven is raising now, I know that you've done incredible work, and I mentioned to you earlier that I saw you the first time when you were on national TV in South Africa, when you were answering questions related to dealing with the difficulties that came for learning as a result of COVID. Could you just briefly describe what you do, and then also think about this issue that Sven just took up? Is it so that you could benefit greatly from connecting with other folks in a sort of, can one call it reciprocal mentoring, bouncing off relationship that is non-threatening?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Theo. Actually, quite an interesting angle and perspective. Maybe to start off with the first part of your question. So, yes, while we prove to be, as an organization, we have a program called Vele, which you will see on my on my T-shirt, which stands for Virtual Educator-Led Learning Experiences. And where that came from was, you know, the challenges that we have with regards to access to quality education support for the vast majority of our learners, in the same socio-economic settings that you referred to, from your perspective, rural and townships or underserved communities that don't have access to that type of support. So while we sort of made our debut during COVID, we actually conceptualized the program pre-COVID. And we actually started to build a platform that would provide that support in 2019.
Wow.
And really, the big thing that we're solving for was not so much, to have a fancy digital app. These days, everybody wants to have an app. Now that we are in AI, everybody is doing everything with AI. But we're just really solving for how do we provide equitable access at scale to some form of education support to a learner who might be sitting in the middle of Lusikisiki, who's writing an exam tomorrow, or has got a project to work on, and they don't have the level of parental support that many of their peers that are in the more privileged schooling environments would enjoy. So
Wow.
that's the big why. The how we do it keeps changing from time to time, which we'll speak to later in the show. But to come back to what you're asking, what Sven was referring to, ironically, I have a member of our development team who's actually he's been in South Africa, but he's Polish by descent, and it seems he decided to move to Poland. So he's actually in Poland, and he calls me and says, "Oh, we've got people in Poland here that are interested in making a difference in education. How do we engage? How do we partner?" And he brought up an interesting angle that I had never thought of. Is there maybe an opportunity for Polish residents to get involved on our tutorial support program, uh, and thereby get to practice their English skills? So you get a lot of Polish people that are trying to learn English, and
Okay.
provide a platform for them to provide technical support, but also refine their English skills. So
Okay.
absolutely, these cross pollinations, you never know how it goes, but yeah,
Yes. Sounds like a fascinating bartering opportunity.
exactly that, yeah.
Is there some benefit that comes to you in thinking along some of the leadership challenges that you have in making your project, your company work? Are there some benefits that you think comes when you are able to connect with others to get advice, get a second view on a subject, if that relationship is not negative as Sven was hinting at that, but it is organic, it is healthy, it is positive?
Yeah, absolutely, Theo. And Tapelo will attest to this. The vast majority of our team are actually unemployed youth that we employ through the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative or the Social Employment Fund. And so you can imagine a lot of them come in with no work experience, no sense of, we start from the basics of helping them sign contracts. You and I would think, it comes as a natural thing, but we spend cycles and cycles trying to, assist these youngsters to come on board and just be able to do the basics and learn the basics. And therefore, we pretty much as a social enterprise can't afford the level of experience and skill, Theo and Sven, that you could bring, or that Maxine could bring. And so in environments or in sort of partnerships where we are able to borrow from the expertise of those that have got the experience without necessarily having to pay the pretty dollar that it would cost, to get an hour of your time.
I hear
So
you.
definitely it does sort of assist us to cross-pollinate,
Yeah.
and help our youngsters get the
I'm
expertise.
sure it does. So maybe the question was more sort of rhetorical, but I mean, it is. There's a great value in having those relationships that can strengthen your hand, and truly without it having to cost so much. Everything costs for sure. Sven always cautions me: don't worry about the money; it's going to come.
Yeah, that's a key
It's
point.
a key point, right?
It's often interesting because in everything you got to start with the passion, and the adding of value. If you forget that and you get into they make enough money and then reverse from there, you will burn out. So to sustain and being able to go on the long route, you have to have a passion and adding value. That will make you carry through, and that will attract you. And like you say, you have to go for the basics. You have to always practice. It's like in every sport or guitar, fundamentals are key. And you can never ignore that. And it's good to connect and go back to always work on the fundamental. If it's in mathematics, or as we say in language, never underestimate. No, you still have to work on everything, you know. Like just by speaking a different language, like the other podcast we say, South Africa people speak really good English, but in many parts of Europe or in Poland, whatever, they need to practice. And if you have somebody that just want to learn, boom, then you can add together on that. Maybe the best method of teaching is like the Thapelo method or whatever. We all have to bring in ideas and things from new places. It maybe not be provided from the system, as they say. You know, we have too much trust in government or in different systems. Maybe you have to hack the system. So that's why it's good to. And it's the basics.
It's
you can't
interesting.
sit back and complain.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be handed to you, but you got to take care of those people that are willing to learn. And as you say too, it's so much technology and so much is out there. So why does it, you don't have to pay somebody else too much. It should be kind of free, because we're all need to work on our basics, to sharpening the saw, as they say, all the time. We all have to wake up with enthusiasm and learning and have fun with the basics, you know. So, and like you say, then this idea, they will be like, wow, we can implement with the Polish people want to start learning English so they can be applicable to a new market. That's a big strength, you know. And as per our travels and whatever, you got to be excited in new local markets to be the student, always be the student, you know. And but being in as a teacher, you might be frustrated because you're in this, your job or responsibility is to teach people in a school in a format, and then you can get stuck. But like you say, it's an amazing thing when you can bring in new people into work, their first work. Everybody has to step into these things. So these organizations, like, wow, just having people getting into some kind of system, then they can build their resume, whatever it is, just to be in the process of learning or being somewhere. That's the key, you know.
And I appreciate you talking about the system. Thapelo Pitso actually talked earlier about that, and we can't see him at the moment, so we'll get him back. But Mohsen, is it your experience as well, as Sven is pointing out here, that challenge in passing on knowledge to others comes with this real burden of sometimes one is so stuck in a given system that it sort of inhibits creativity? Is that part of some of the struggles that you've seen? Of course, before you answer that question, it would be good for you to introduce yourself as well. Thank you.
I think quite importantly, what Tebogo was saying regarding the online platform, I think during COVID-19, we've seen it does work. Online learning does work. And I think we're not taking advantage of the fact that the technology is there, the infrastructure is there to facilitate online learning. And the reason why I am pro online learning is for many reasons. For our students in South Africa, number one, we have a student that have to travel from one province to another province to attend university. He can't manage tuition fees. He doesn't have money to pay for the boarding. They don't have money. Now, if we can provide the platform where we can have that same subject and we can teach them online, and then what Sven was saying, and then use that time where they actually spend time in class, let them do job shadowing, let them go to the market, let them actually get the first-hand experience, you know. So then you can kill two birds with one stone. They've got online learning, and you're sending them out to the real world where they can get the experience. And I think that is where the companies comes in, you know. They want a graduate when they leave university to be ready. They don't want to be trained for another 2 years. They're losing money, right? And so it's quite important what Sven was saying in terms of getting our students or our graduates ready to enter the job market. Now, I think we know that the online platform is learning. Sorry, it is working. We are doing it here in the UAE, and there's many other countries that is facilitating online learning, and it's validated. However, in South Africa, what we need to get right is the accreditation part of it and the quality assurance part of it. Those are the two things that we need to work on.
Would you would you add? Sorry to cut you with them, Hussein, but would you add the infrastructure to that as well as a need that we need as a hurdle to overcome, especially in terms of the communication side of the online platforms?
Correct. Because one of the challenges that we will face is obviously the connectivity. Unstable internet. How do we ensure that learners does have the infrastructure to facilitate learning or to actually come onto the platform? And at the moment, the internet in South Africa is too expensive.
Yeah.
And so where do we take that bit? I mean, if you compare internet prices from around the world to South Africa, it is astronomical.
Yeah.
It should not be that expensive. So somebody like the Bogo that is trying to improve education in South Africa, he is going to struggle because our students don't have the connectivity.
There is a vast combination. I don't want the opportunity to pass you, Hussein, to tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What is it that gets you up in the morning?
So I used to teach in South Africa at the university. I left South Africa many years ago to move over to the UAE, and I teach health sciences, anatomy, physiology, emergency medicine, pharmacology, so everything in health science related, But there is so many commonalities in terms of South Africa, the UAE, Sweden. We think that problems in South Africa is specific to South Africa. It's not. It's not. We have first world countries that experience the same problems as South Africa. Like I mentioned to you earlier on, we did some studies a few years ago where we looked at the emergency care personnel, and now we're talking about our paramedical staff, where they are being attacked in South Africa, and their stuff is being stolen, equipment is being stolen. Sweden is struggling with the same problems. Emergency care personnel are being attacked.
Yeah.
They go to a call out and they get robbed. Their cell phones were taken. The money is taken. The equipment has been stolen out of the ambulances. So first world country in South Africa, third world country, it's the same problems. It's different locations.
Yeah. And it's thanks for highlighting that, because I think it sort of provides this perspective of some of the commonality of the problems. For many different reasons, people don't always want to say that. But you are not alone there. Your wife is with you. And I'm not so sure. She wanted to say hello to us.
She's just busy at the moment. She'll come back to you.
Not a problem. And when she comes back, please alert us to that. Mr. Pitso, you are back. You've brought these wonderful people to us. I'm not so sure if you heard what Sven was saying earlier about the system. You talked earlier about the system. What did you talk about earlier? What were you trying to harass me with?
Look, we are that system. There is a saying that the system, especially where I work in, is too big to change. But we are that system. And then we are the ones who can change that system. There are challenges worldwide, still just alluded to the Sweden, South Africa. We are those challenges. And we are the only ones who can bring those solutions. Hence this collaboration. It's not always thinking somebody will try and improve the system, because we are that system. That's what we are doing now. We are dealing with that system.
Absolutely.
If we don't deal with the system, it deals with us.
That's a interesting way of saying it.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, that's just by this forum, you get affected. We collect these people. We are new in this podcast. Suddenly it carries with you. We're combining people and different ideas. And in our daily life, we touch people all the time. So that's the power of networking and discussing, and we have an interest. And so you say we become the system when you can influence more than you think by just doing. And then it's good to have this forum to talk. And like we said before, commonalities is you always have to to check in and recess. The Sweden or South Africa has more commonalities because it's people and things are changing and moving, you know. So, and by technology, and we can connect like this.
A lot more in common.
You know. So, but it's important with this forum that are positive and effective, and we are carrying that mission out to the other people, and we become fascinated. So it's a positive thing to talk about because it's always working for something good, you know.
And we are doing something.
We're doing something, you know. And as we're going thinking, by every interaction you affect one people by people by people. So you say it's not sitting back and having opinions. It's better to be active, you know, and communicating cross levels, cross cultural or people or with your kids or whoever. Is a good point of dialogue that keeps it interesting.
Absolutely.
You know? So I think that's it's important, and you become, like we were talking about training, but you become interested yourself because you always want to learn and assess that interest, and then you got to be open and curious of things, you know, wherever you are in a position, you know. So
that curiosity is spilling over into the streets here in Stockholm because people are asking, what are you guys busy with?
Yeah.
So for those of you who are joining us...
And we're all affected too.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You say, you know, wherever we are, we might have, you know, kids or relatives, so there's always point of conversation because it's human things, you know. It's like when it's positive, you know. We all have around us these subjects that, you know, we can apply.
I think it's quite encouraging to be thinking through these things. And for those of you who are joining us online, we really appreciate you spending your time with us. It is so helpful. We love talking, but it's not good to just talk to yourself. So we appreciate you spending your time with us. On the screen you see there a quick response code. And if you go there, you'll have an opportunity to support what we do in South Africa. And I want to talk just a little bit about that. And I want to do this also for the benefit of our team that is joining us from a good number of different parts of the world. Now I wish I could bring this slide up for you. Actually, I think I can. Let me see if I can perform the miracle here. And I want to do this for your benefit here. There's the image. And then you'll be able to have a look at this while I talk through this, and so our visitors will be able to see that as well. Our visitors, you guys can see that all the way from the Middle East? Okay, all the way from Pretoria. So Learning Academy Worldwide has this project in South Africa, and it's called Agri-Academy, right? And so about 10 years ago, there were three problems that we wanted to solve, three needs more that we saw in the training side of things, the vocational training in agriculture side. But I think it's probably vocational training in general. And the first one was that the curriculum, and this is this left part, was a little bit too remote and too fragmented, and not irrelevant, but just distant from the people that are learning it. Right? We couldn't. I felt that, and I think Mohsen, you were touching on this a little bit, and maybe some things that you hinted on it as well, Teboho, that why do young people need to travel so far? And why do they need to be involved in bodies of knowledge that are so distant from what they are experiencing in a rural setting? And so the incoherence and just the sort of the lack of practical and relevant learning experiences was a problem we saw. So we wanted to have a curriculum. We thought a curriculum that will work is one that's organic, that's flexible, that can quickly change if the needs, especially the needs in the workplace, change. The second one is this one at the bottom, is that especially in agriculture, our rural communities have no problem to understand agriculture. But why is it that we don't have sort of local aware and entire value chain sensitive training? Why is the produce of Harlem or the produce in Concordia or in Bloemfontein or in a little remote village, why does that not inform what that curriculum again could look like? Why are we so distant from the local community? And then the third part is the heavy one. Why is there such a huge gap between the completion of your studies, your diploma, and the workplace? There's no real immediate conduit to the workplace. And I think, Mohsen, you were alluding to this when you said, the folks out in the corporate sector now have to spend more money again to retrain because we've not done a real good job there. And so it's my sense that if we could fix that, if we could basically remedy these three needs, we would be able to create what we call a learning and earning model, and that's what we've been doing actually since 2019, in fact. And so I don't know if that resonates with you. Is there something in that model, Teboho, that you find is sort of addressing real needs?
Yeah, definitely, Theo. Just one of the experiences that I've had over the last probably 6 years or so. I also happened to be chairing a board of a youth skills development center located out here in Tshwane, in one of our most impoverished communities, right? And it happens to be one of those communities where small scale farming actually could create sustainable livelihood opportunities for those communities as well as the youth. Um, and so how the center got funded was through the Department of Social Development's Sustainable Livelihoods Program. And one of the things that we had to ensure as a management team and the board is that we bring accredited skills development programs that are impactful, short term, and they lead to real income earning opportunities for these youngsters. And I tell you, that equation was such a tough one for us to solve for, to be honest, because then we train them and everybody wants to go looking for a job at Checkers or, instead of looking at, well, how do I turn the skills that I've now just gained into some sustainable income earning opportunities within my own community and serve and add value to that very same community. So there's always that divide between, and I think it's because of what Hussein was talking about, which is how we've looked at education has always been removed from the world of work. It's like you go to university and then you sit and you prepare your CV, probably send out 100 copies over a year, and hopefully you land a job, right? There's no direct channel that allows me as the candidate to actually employ those skills to create income opportunities for myself. So I think you absolutely spot on in terms of that. It is a very, very difficult equation for many an NGO and NPO in South Africa to solve for. So yes, definitely.
Thanks for that
Yeah,
input.
can I add on that?
Yes, please, Mohsen. I was going to come to you on that. Yes, go ahead.
I think that slide that you put on there is a very important slide. It is two things that needs to be touched on. There is the curriculum and relevancy. Now, when we're looking at the South African curriculum post-apartheid, none of the curriculum has been decolonized. It has not been made relevant to the communities. We are still teaching the same curriculum post-apartheid as it was during apartheid, right? Now, our curriculum needs to be Africanized. It needs to be made simplified, and it needs to be relevant to the people and the communities that we serve. And I think that's the plot that most South Africans and the universities are missing today, is they are teaching these kids, and it's not relevant to their work. It's not relevant to the communities that they are serving, right? So if we take a little bit of time and we're looking at that curriculum and we say, okay, this does not fit in this model, I cannot teach somebody in South Africa about farming in Italy, for example, because the climate is different. You cannot teach them the same methodology of farming in Italy, because remember when we were colonized, they were taught other information regarding that country, nothing but South Africa, you know. So
Mm.
if we're looking at the very important part of our curriculum is to take it apart, make it relevant, and you know what, our communities will benefit from it, and that's how we make the curriculum relevant.
I think that's a really, really important point. And my sense is that, um, again, maybe it was alluding to what Thapelo was saying earlier. You know, is this system too big to be broken? But he also said something else. He says, "We are the system." So um, uh, maybe a decentralized model. And I think maybe this is what you are doing, Teboho. You've not asked any permission from the government to do this, have you?
No.
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 Is
That
this?
will take ages. That will
Yes,
definitely
exactly.
take
Nothing's going to
ages.
happen. It is. It's that niche that you say. I don't know. Did you want to add something there? Or?
Yes, yes. So when Tapelo says, the system is a massive, it's the Titanic. It doesn't turn easily. I mean, I was involved for some time in sort of module development
Mm,
work for UNISA.
mm,
And UNISA have had to revise some of their courses, and then Mohsen, they were trying to also add some elements of Africanization. But at the core of how we still design those learning programs comes from the way we've always done them. And in that process, they were talking about, guys, it'll take about 10 years for that curriculum to be realigned to. A lot happens in 10 years. We can't take 10 years to change a curriculum. But unfortunately, that's how the system, as Hussein says, as
mm,
designed, and as that the pizza was saying, is
mm.
that, we are then also cogs in that system that then, because, you have to be employed as an
Yeah,
educator or as
exactly.
an education
Yes.
specialist for the very same system that
Yes.
is
Is
not serving
broken.
the needs
Yeah.
of our people. Yeah, yeah.
Sven?
Yeah, that's key. You
Yeah.
have to be in it,
Yeah.
but it's good to at least it's very transparent. That's the key. And if more people talk and focus on those points, so it's not all over. It's like you kind of know where it's at. It's well defined, the problem. So then it's more and more important. So maybe by example, like all these organizations and your thinking, just chip away. And if you can address like people in poor areas and get them to work, suddenly they will, it's moving in the right way, and it will make an enormous impact in those societies. So models will be created, so suddenly maybe instead of just fighting the system for 10 years, you have to take these shortcuts, but at least work against that big thing, and suddenly we will fall down, but I think it's important to have those. You can't never stop progress and new people with energy. So like you say, move on with renewed energy and system, and you can't shut that down, at least. That's key, because the proof is in the pudding. When you affect people and in these areas, this is like a huge impact for society, just getting, especially like any areas, any country, we have well-defined problem areas. Sweden, France, US, South Africa, it's just like, but you have to do the daily work and, like you say, put in models and systems that are proven and with technology that works step by step, and hopefully along the way, those systems will get more support,
Does this sound a little bit, Tapelo, for you like the area of influence? And I want to remind you of the words of Dr. Patrick Mayasela in 2014 in Bloemfontein, when he was talking and challenging all of us there. And he says, his complaint was, he says, you always talk about the government, the government, the government, but you are the government. Do you remember that he challenged us on that and says, so why are you not knocking on the doors of these people that you think is the government and tell them that you are the government and that you want to see change? Is there a case to be made that we must not forget that, number one, and number two, that it does speak to the area of our area of influence?
Yes, you remember as well, he was concerned about the cost of the internet. Yeah, no, like you said, Theo, Teboho is not waiting for the permission. We are that system. You remember one of the guys who was funding, fully funded in farming, he's producing, he's got poultry, he's got eggs, he's got everything. Now he's stuck, he does not know where to take the product. So that is the next level we are talking about, Theo. Teboho is saying we are training them to go to agriculture, but they go back to ShopRite because the education system. In other words, we need to say, after we train them, where do we put them within this system?
Got to think.
After this step, how do we make sure? Because Mohsin is right. Education system in South Africa is just the perpetuation. If we don't change the way we do things, nothing will change. Even if we don't change the way we teach men, we'll get the same result. So, in other words, yeah, we need to see now what next after developing them here. Where can we take them? Connections, find out who can put them somewhere. Because, for example, if I can give you just one simple example, University of West, there were 86,000 applications. They could only admit 6,000.
Did you
So
say?
our education
Sorry.
system, they all want to go to university.
Did you say
They all want
86,000?
86,000 applicants with application fee, remember?
Wow.
I'm just giving you just as an example. There are so many institutions.
Wow.
There is an application fee of 300 to 100 that the poor are losing. They could only admit 6,000.
Wow.
So we need to say, like they were saying, after training them, where do we take them?
Yeah.
How do we make sure they are channeled? They are learning at technical schools. They learn how to weld. After welding, can they produce products so that they can be sold somewhere? Because they go back to what we employed. Because Mohsin is a difficult one. It's within. In as much as we are aware, what can we do in African CEO? You can translate to vende. Biki Magbaya. Biki Magbaya, Mohsin. And we are the government.
Yeah.
We are already making those changes.
Sure.
These people that are here in platform, it's possible we are already making those changes.
Sure.
Now, what we need to see now, after training them, how do we ensure that they don't go back to the usual law? They want to go back and get employed and so on and so on. Maybe that is the next level. At the technical school, you have learned the skills of welding and so on. After that, where do we take them? After getting funding of farming and having products, what happens next? Some sort of collaboration further.
I think very important what Thapelo is saying there is in terms of the numbers for university, right? So some programs can only accommodate 15 new applicants on a program. In medical school, for example, the quota is like 100 to 200 new students a year. Now, if you look at the numbers that the universities get every year for programs, it's enormous. And so this is why the learning platform, the online learning platform, is so important to South Africa, because they don't have the capacity. Unlike here in the UAE, we've got so many universities. There's so much access to students here. Access is available to everybody because there's enough universities here. In South Africa, we don't have enough universities to cater for the people or for the youngsters that want to go to university, and so it's quite difficult for them to get access. I challenge you to speak to one of the petrol attendants in South Africa. Just have a chat with him, and you'll find out that guy pumping the petrol, he's got a master's degree, he's got a bachelor's degree, because we cannot place them. What Thapelo was saying, we cannot place these guys. And people look at these petrol attendants and they think they are uneducated. Man,
Mm.
Just strike a conversation with these guys. I'm telling you, this guy will tell you, no, I've been working here. While I was working here, I went to university and I came back and I don't have a job. And now this guy's sitting with a master's degree. He's got a bachelor's degree. Some of them are studying towards a PhD, and they're pumping petrol. And we ignore these people. They are educated people, and it's quite sad we've got educated people in South Africa and we cannot place them.
That's incredible. And it is sad. You're absolutely right.
It is sad,
But
yeah.
Teboho, this definitely then points to what you are doing, as even though not getting, I suppose, the kind of support from government that we should get, but you're fulfilling that role, because if the capacity, as Mohsen very, very accurately point out, is not there, because I mean the numbers are just, that one illustration points to the fact 86,000 applicants,
Yeah.
and only 6,000 can come in, and Mohsen's addition there, that certain programs you just cannot have. Everybody can't go there because the capacity to teach and is just not there. So what you do, Teboho, is it your sense that what you're doing is filling or fulfilling a very crucial role?
Definitely.
So I would say, Theo, yes and no. Yes and no, because much as Tate Pitso and myself are working towards transforming the way education in the basic education system sort of is approached. Tate Pitso, as you know, is obsessed with mathematics, and so he was at my house the other night. We're having a braai. My wife says every time I walk outside, that the bitch is talking about mathematics. So,
Calculating the
That's
amount of
amazing.
ribs.
Yeah.
that's exactly it. So we actually are working on a very interesting campaign that will be running in Heritage Month with one of our corporate sponsors, where the brief we were given is to take mathematics to a cohort of learners, and literally decode mathematics and bring in heritage into that conversation, right? To show how to apply maths in a heritage context. And our team came up with an interesting concept that actually utilized the linear equations and probability, and to give them a scenario to say, commonly in our communities, we have events, as you will know, whether a wedding or, whatever the case is. And there's a lot of planning, budgeting, arranging catering, and so on and so on. And so it was create a budget for a Heritage Day event using linear equations. You've only got so many, variables. That's your set budget. You have to cater for X number of people and so on, and then factor in some risk factors that there's the probability that it could rain, and then if it rains the people don't come, or so it brought down mathematics to a real practical scenario, and that's some of the work that the Pizzo and I are sort of working on, is not education for its own sense, but for what it was designed for, problem solving, right? So maybe to bring it back to a recent engagement and partnership that we are going into, there's a skills academy that focuses on developing artisans of all sorts, from welding to electricians to chefs, you name it. And these guys are sort of one of the most aligned to the QCTO. And don't ask me what the full acronym means, but as you'll know,
The
it's
Qualifications
it's
Authority. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's it. And so one of the key things that they identified is the way the quality of their programs is so great. Apparently, the biggest problem they've got is that those youngsters are being poached by international recruiters from Switzerland,
Ay, ay, ay.
Australia. Literally, as they come out of program, these guys are saying, we're shipping them out as quickly as we are actually building them, which is obviously a good problem to have.
Yes.
But then, we have the issue that those skills are then not retained in country. So the solutions and models seem to be there. It's just for us to embrace them, I think, in creative ways and maybe give them more scale and applicability, because not 86,000 learners are actually university sort of candidates. You know, they just go in there because that's how it happens. I must finish school and then I must go
Let's go
to
to
tertiary.
university. Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to find other channels and pathways for these youngsters, Sven and Theo.
I appreciate that sort of dual way of looking at that difficulty. Sven, we can appreciate everything we're hearing here, right?
Yeah, that's very good.
yeah.
Very interesting
Yes.
to hear. Yeah.
It gives quite a picture. I wanted to add something that we've done in the South African context. If you remember that graphic, especially on the conduit, the sort of movement from the learning experience to the earning experience. We played with that concept, learning and earning. Can this go hand in hand? And we were looking for partners in the Southern Cape. And so what we did was we said, okay, if you go to the farmer and ask the farmer, look, could you help us get these young people oriented to the workspace, and at the same time have them earn something there with you. Most of the farmers had, although they understood what we were trying to do, did not have the time or the resources or the interest to do that. There was one company that stepped up. It was a nursery, a blueberry nursery, just outside of George. And so we have the greatest respect for the owners of this company. And what they did is they took in 9 of our students. And we then spoke to our donors and our supporters and asked, could you help us fund the payroll for this company? And so all of a sudden, we had a couple of things that were completely done. Number one, these young girls were now learning about elements in horticulture and hydroponics. They got to learn about tissue culture and cuttings and propagation in a workspace where a company was providing blueberry plants to blueberry growers. And, well, the quality of the teaching, the company has a qualified horticulturist that works in the industry. And so we made an agreement with them and said, if you are able to employ these young people, we will try and find support to subsidize your payroll. But if you could spend 20% of the time of their work week, number one, by sitting down with them and telling them why you taught them what you taught them. Explain the why, so that they sit down and they work through the work experiences by reflecting over it. Not just that they're doing it, but here's why you do it. And number two, the company even went further and supported these young girls by opening a retirement annuity, these annuity funds that can go with them to the next workplace, provided transportation for them, and this was really, really, really helpful. And so there are models, I think, that can capitalize on this, and Thapelo knows me, it's the way that we've always operated. Just get your hands dirty, get in there, take charge, do it. Do not, lay that responsibility on somebody else. And but this is a meaningful conversation that now needs to come to a conclusion, unfortunately. But I don't know, is there something that you wanted to add to this, Mohsen? I'm thinking especially on the higher education side of things. It's quite a challenge there in bridging this gap from the basic school experience into higher education. And then, as you mentioned, the amount of graduates that are out there that are doing not work that is not corollary to their education. Where is the tangible sort of models that you see? Are there any models that you know of that are working in that space and that's bridging that apart from what we do and what Teboho do and what Thapelo Pitso harasses everybody else to do?
Yeah, I think, to be quite honest, our students coming from matric, they're not ready for university. They are not. And we're actually sitting with a big problem now with AI and ChatGPT and all this information that's out there now. You have a graduate that comes to university and they are expected to write something, a research paper or an article, right? And when they submit the information, it's all AI generated. I mean, we have software at university where we can put the stuff into AI
And
to
you
see.
can quickly check, yeah.
And so the algorithm of AI, you cannot cheat the algorithm of AI. So even if you mix up the words, so for everybody out there, even if you mix up the words, you cannot cheat. We put it into an AI test bot, and we can see these numbers. It will tell you this is AI generated. It doesn't matter if you scramble up the words. The algorithm stays the same. Right. So our students that's coming from matric to enter university, they're not ready, and we see a lot of dropouts, and this is why they drop out. So the first year when they get into university, there's a lot of students that drop out on the first year, and so the throughput is kind of bad. So to give an example, if you have a program that takes on 50 students in first year, at the end of that bachelor program, after 4 years, there might be even just 15 left.
Out of 50?
Out of 50, is correct.
Wow.
Because the others just drop out year 1, year 2, year 3, and there's a lot of problems to this. It can either be the females, they get pregnant along the way, or there is money problems, there's tuition problems, there's traveling problems. And there's a lot of problems that we as educators face with our students in South Africa, you know. And so if you look at that throughput of 15 and they enter with 50, it's a lot.
That's a 70% dropout.
Yeah, dropout.
Yeah. We have lots of work to do, and we want to consider this to be the first episode in important continuing dialogues around this. And what I really appreciate of this conversation is that all of us are involved in actually doing something about the problem. Because there are two ways to talk about this, and one is to, just find a wall that you can speak to, or really get things done. And so, Hussein, for the grand work that both you and your wife are doing in education, we really appreciate that. That's, getting one's hands dirty with making an impact in other people's lives. That is really to be honored and appreciated.
Thank you.
Teboho, I mean, you're one of a kind. Maybe that's enough, because two of you would probably have been causing a lot of trouble. And so we appreciate the practicality from the get-go, and we are so thankful that that some of these ideas came to you before COVID, so that in a way you were ready to deal with the realities that came upon South African communities and young people, imposed as a result of a real dilemma. And Thapelo Pitso, I don't know what I can say about you. You find people that are harassable, and you arrest them, and so we appreciate that. So, Sven, for your presence this evening, as always, my friend, I do thank you.
Wonderful conversation.
It's been a really good
Very
evening.
nice to meet you, and inspirational.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. It was good to have you. Thank you for your time, Teboho, Hussein, and Thapelo. We really appreciate that. For those of you who joined us this evening, thank you so very much. We'll see you next time, and that next time could be next Thursday evening potentially, and then of course again next Saturday. And then we have some more exciting news to reveal about what is happening in South Africa over the next 2 months. But we'll tell you more about that later. Thank you so very much,
Thank
everyone.
you very much.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.